What is going on, good peoples? What's up? Glad to be back. Glad to be here spending time with y'all. Welcome to the DBP. It's your man Anthony. Um, I let's just get into it. So I have Bible verses I'm gonna read, and then let's talk. Proverbs 3, 5, and 7. And it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. Don't be impressed by your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil." What up, Rod? So that last piece, don't be impressed by your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. So, let's talk. The gist of the message today is how do we tell the difference from discernment and haughtiness? And verse 7 drives that. I'm on this show. I'm sure I've mentioned this and spoke about the concept of knowledge versus wisdom. This is a play on that. The thing that verse 7 hits is don't be impressed by your own wisdom. And they use that word wisdom in there. And I would argue, from my perspective in reading it, and I believe this is Holy Spirit driven, that when it says don't be impressed by your own wisdom, what that is saying is don't be haughty. And for those who don't know what haughty means, haughty is conceit. A haughty spirit, a haughty person is a conceited. When speaking of pride comes before the fall, haughtiness before destruction, all of it is pride, right? Yes. Now, when we speak pride, people often think people confuse pride and haughtiness. And I know haughtiness is a derivative of pride, but haughtiness doesn't necessarily mean pride in the way that a lot of people hear when you say that. When you say pride, people think, oh, I'm proud of this, I'm proud of that. And that is a part of it. And a haughty spirit goes beyond that. The haughtiness is, it could have absolutely zero to do with material items. It doesn't necessarily have to be related, connected to, attached to, in any way, shape, or form, material items. Haughtiness is what this Bible verse is saying in 7. And I'm not discounting the 2 before it. So I'll get back to that. In 7, it's saying, don't be impressed by your own wisdom. So you know the person that knows everything, and you don't know more than them. And whatever you've been through, they've been through, but they've been through worse. Or they have more sense than to do what you did, and you're stupid and they're smart. You get the gist of where I'm going with that, right? That's part of a haughty spirit. Because I don't need to flex my wisdom muscle in order for you to know that I'm wise. And if I am flexing, there's usually a reason I'm flexing. It's because I'm overcompensating for something. What does that mean? If I always got to tell you how smart I am, even if you don't ask me, that's not you questioning if I'm smart or not. That's me questioning if I'm smart or not. If I always got to be the smartest person in the room, it could be because I feel like I'm the dumbest person in the room. This is haughtiness. This is what haughtiness is. This is when those who are too impressed with their own wisdom. This is what this is speaking of. Get over yourself. Yes, you got some knowledge, you got some wisdom, but pump your brakes. You ain't all that. That's what this Bible verse is saying. God has a way of putting us in our place. And this is God saying, yeah, you got some skills, but you ain't all that. And I'm sure there's people who would get mad about that statement that I just made. God says, God wouldn't say that to people. Read the Bible. When God talks about exalting yourself and he will humble you, what do you think that is? Let me put you in your place. You think you here, but let me show you where you really are. This is why the Bible verse says God exalt those who humble themselves and humble those who exalt themselves. So, going back to this Bible verse, what is this saying? This is saying, don't feel yourself too much. Yeah, it's good that you know this, and it's good that you have this skill, and it's good that you were able to say this and do this and be this. And well, there's people that got more skill than you. There's people who got more wisdom than you. There's people who are smarter than you. And if you keep flexing that muscle, you're gonna find out. And when you find out, it's gonna suck a little bit. So, don't think too higher than yourself than you ought to. And even that's another God saying that. Don't think higher than yourself than you ought to. So what does this have to do with discernment? Well, I pray for discernment on a regular basis. I often ask God. I say often because I don't want to say all the time, because there's times that I don't pray for discernment. I often ask God to show me. Let's go back to verses 5 and 6. Do not lean on my own understanding. Trust the Lord and he will guide my path. So, Father, I know that I know this. I know this. But I know that I don't know as much as you do. And so because of that, I'm going to come off my high horse. I'm going to check my own ego. And I'm going to come to you and I'm going to acknowledge that I'm not the end all be all. Because in I think it's another proverb or psalm, either one. It says that the start of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. The start of knowledge is the fear of the Lord. Either way. So, I know that I know these things. And yet, if I'm being real, even though I know that I know these things, there's some parts to what's going on that I don't know. Because I can't see what's going forward. I can't see I'm driving east, but I can't see what's going on a mile in front of me, 2 miles in front of me. But I know I'm driving east. In fact, traffic is moving pretty good at this point. But who's to say when I get over this hill that it won't come to a halt? But I could base my knowledge right now that, this is going to be smooth sailing because this is what I see. Understanding that my sight is limited. That's the whole purpose of me saying all this. My sight, my understanding, me is limited. I can only see what I can see. Whether that's here, whether that's in this rearview mirror, these two mirrors, whatever. I can only see what I can see. That's limited. God is not limited to the same things that I am limited to. So, although my experience has told me over and over and over that if I just keep going, I'm going to have smooth sailing. My experiences also told me there were those times where I didn't see what was coming. And because of that, I got caught up. I pray that analogy sunk in. Because this is when it says when you're humbling yourself. And we can use a multiple of metaphors, examples for that. I just use the traffic one because I'm driving. But think about something that you know that you know that you know. That you are the expert in when it pertains to you. Don't nobody know that like you do. Here's another example. Those people who are in leadership. I know that for the team that I've been called to oversee, I am the decision maker. I make the decisions. I am in charge of that project. I know that. The people who I oversee know that. If I constantly have to tell them, I'm your boss, I'm your boss, I'm your boss, hey, I'm your boss, hey, guess what? I'm your boss. You know what? I'm the boss. Hey guys, I'm the boss. Did you know I'm the boss? Why do I keep doing that? Why do I keep saying that? It comes off as haughtiness. It comes off as conceit. It comes off as ego. And I would often rather project that than project that, well, you know what? I'm questioning my skills to be the leader. I don't know if they know I am. I think this and this is going on and I don't know. So I think I really need to establish who I am. What's going on, Miss Connie? Glad you're here. You know, I really need to establish who I am. Because they don't know who I am. And that ego and that haughtiness comes off foolish. Now I sound like a fool. Because I'm missing something here. I'm missing something here that forces me to feel like I have to overcompensate and keep telling people stuff that they already know. You don't have to do that as a parent. You don't have to do that. I don't always have to say, hey, I'm the parent, I'm in control. I'm the parent, I'm in charge. If you live in this house, I run everything. I don't have to do that. There should be an established mutual respect that if I laid the right seeds, if I sowed the right seeds, the harvest I get is that my children know that when it comes to that house, Anthony and Teresa and Anthony, however you want to say it, are the decision makers in that house. No one else. We don't have to say every day. We don't have to say that every day because we sow the right seed. Now, if you don't sow the right seed and you let your kids run rampant and do whatever they want to do, then yes, you're going to have to say all that. That's a different conversation for a different time. I just wanted to address that. But yes, that's a whole other thing. My point is humility. If you want to be out of a place of haughtiness, humility is huge. Humility is key. In fact, I will go as far as to say, if you want discernment and you want to hear what God is really telling you, you want wisdom, you're going to have to learn how to be humble. You're going to have to learn humility. It's a must. It is a must. You cannot have wisdom and discernment without humility. Because if you have wisdom and discernment without humility, it's haughtiness. It's all ego. You have knowledge, but knowledge is not necessarily wisdom. There's a gang of people who have a bunch of useless knowledge that they can walk around talking about, and it has no bearing on anybody's life. Just random out of the factoids that people come out with. Now, I'm not critiquing these people. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I'm saying is there's a difference between that and wisdom. Another concept of that, just because I know something, and let me change that. If I know something and I'm not utilizing what I know to affect the outcomes of my life, then that's not wisdom. What is that? Example. It has been documented for years that cigarettes lead to lung cancer, emphysema, all kind of other things. But let's just stick with lung cancer right now. It has been known for years that cigarettes lead to cancer. When I was smoking cigarettes, I knew that. I didn't need anyone to tell me that. I knew full well that led to cancer. In fact, I didn't need to really seek a lot of discernment on that issue, because I knew that if I continued to smoking, there's a very strong chance that would lead to lung cancer. When I wouldn't quit, I just had a bunch of knowledge. It was just knowledge. Yeah, I know this is not good for me. I know it's not good for me, but whatever, right? It isn't until I take that knowledge and apply it that it becomes wisdom. So that in that example, the discernment piece, and how I'm saying discernment is different from haughtiness, is when I had this knowledge that I could get cancer if I continued to smoke, and I didn't do anything with it, that was haughtiness. People don't see that way. And if you smoke cigarettes, I'm not attacking you for that. Hear me. This is just an example. And understand that. If you know this and you continue doing it, that's haughtiness. Why? It's because A, you don't think that it will affect you the way that this thing says, which is haughtiness. Or B, you are delusional to the fact that it will do that, which confusion, Satan, or you, and I lost my last point, goodness, maybe it'll come back. The point being, if you think it'll never happen to me, that's haughtiness. How many times have we said that? Think about your lifetime. Go back to when you were a teenager, early 20s. How many times did we say something like, that'll never happen to me? How many people have said that? How many people are still regretting that they thought that way? That's knowledge that is unused, which is haughtiness. Especially if we call ourselves praying to God, does it give me the discernment to know what I need to do in the situation? If you pray for discernment in a situation and God lays it out to you and you do nothing with it, that's haughtiness. It's pride. It's your ego. Even the people, in the case of the cigarettes, let's go back to that. In the case of the cigarettes, I can't quit, it's too hard. There's ego attached to that. You have to understand this. Pride isn't just somebody talking about, that walks around strutting their stuff like I'm the man. Nobody can mess with me. Pride is not just that. Fear is a part of pride. My fear of what'll happen if I try to quit smoking. My fear of the ramifications of that. Or I just don't want to fight hard enough to do it. I don't believe I have the mental, physical capacity not to do this. That's haughtiness. I hate to say that. No, I don't. I don't. It is what it is. I don't want to physically do anything about this to change this. That is pride. That is your ego. That is haughtiness. And it doesn't just have to be about cigarettes, y'all. Please hear that. God pointed out to me, I don't know if I said this on here or not. If I did, you're hearing it again. I was doing a Bible study, talking to a buddy of mine about their sobriety. And in the process of me talking to this individual about the sobriety, God said to me, "Do you hear what you're saying?" And I had this moment of, what? Do you hear what you're saying? And I was, yes. He said, now apply that to you and the sugar intake that you have. And the next thing he said to me was harsh and bold. He said, if you don't change how you are living, you will die. Just like that. Just like that. If you don't change what you're doing, how you're living, when it comes to this sugar, you will die. Now, mind you, I'm in the middle of a Bible study. I had to stop. I was in the process of talking when this came up. I had to stop and process what I just heard. And then say, oh, wow, I got to tell you what God just told me. Now, do you know, since then, this go round, I have enacted change in my habits. I don't eat sugar just for the sake of eating sugar. I don't eat random things or drink random things that are chock full of sugar just for sugar's sake. I understand that it's hard because I see all of this stuff wherever I go. And it's not like it stopped being around. It's there. And I have to make a conscious choice every time. Am I going to listen to what God gave me? I prayed for discernment. He gave me discernment. Am I going to focus on that? Or am I going to let my emotions get the better of me? My taste buds, my feelings. Am I going to let that be what dictates what I do? You know what? It'll be all right. I could just do it this one time. Famous last words, right? How many people have we lost over that mindset? It'll just be this one time. Now, I'm not sitting there telling you if I have a candy bar, I'm going to die. And I'm also not telling you that it's not. God told me point blank, flat out, that I needed to stop. And so I enacted the discernment that I asked for. He gave it to me in a way that I was not expecting, because I wasn't even talking about me at the time. But he used that to be like, you asked for discernment, here you go. You need to change your habits. These are bad habits that are going to lead to the grave. Here's the discernment. What do you do when you get that discernment? That's wisdom. There's the difference right there. When you get this discernment, the next thing you do will decide if you have wisdom going on or if you just have random knowledge. Because let me tell you, that same thing, there have been so many times in the past that God has discerned to me, you're doing too much, son. This is too much. This is not good for you. This isn't healthy. It's going to affect you if you keep going. And I heard that and I was like, I hear you. And then I just continued doing what I was doing. Or I'd stop doing it for a day or two and it'd be like, oh, that's enough. Or I'd stop doing it for a month or two and then be like, oh, that's enough. I got it. So I asked God for discernment. He gave me that discernment. I had knowledge and I did nothing with it. That's the opposite of wisdom. That's actually foolish. So I was being foolish for a long time in this because I asked for discernment He gave me discernment. I did nothing with it. Unused knowledge is foolishness. Whereas now I heard him, I was like, okay, so I really need to make some changes. So I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to do this. And I started implementing things that I was going to stop doing. And for the most part, I've been sticking to that. Jokingly, I said to God, because he told me this, like right the week after Christmas or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's nice. You tell me this right before my birthday. Cool. What am I going to do with that? Because what happens for birthdays? People make desserts for people. I had to make a choice. Now, in the past, I would have made a choice that I made. So I'll tell you, on my birthday, Teresa had made me key lime cheesecake. I made a choice that I would go ahead and have some. Not overindulge, not go all out. I had some. And I didn't have any more after that. I didn't continue going up. I didn't keep going. Why? Because I used that wisdom. That even though I messed up, let's call it that. Even though I messed up, I didn't stay in that place. I made an exception, because it wasn't messed up. I made an exception. Even though I made an exception, I didn't stay in that place and continue to go back. Because in the past, I would have done that, and it would have struck that sensation in my mouth, and bam, and I would have been like, oh no, I'm going all out. Since then, I've been sticking to what I said. When people offer me stuff, I will ask how much sugar is in it, if there's any sugar in it. When I'm looking to get something to drink, I will look and see if there's sugar or how much sugar is in it. Different foods, for instance, if the food that I'm eating, that has sugar in it, doesn't have any protein or fiber or any nutritional value, I won't do it. I won't eat it. I won't drink it. Why? Because God told me, if you don't stop, you're going to die. I'm saying all this to illustrate the point of wisdom. When you have discernment in your life, you ask God to discern something for you, you got to make a choice. The choice you make will determine whether you have wisdom or you have foolishness. Now, I'm not sitting here acting like I figured it all out. Because we start off talking about Proverbs 7, where it says, basically, hey, don't think too much of your wisdom. So I can't sit here and start puffing my chest. I'll be like, see that? I got this. Y'all need to be like me. Y'all need to do what I'm doing. Y'all need to do all this. No. That's not the point of all of this. Because I could very easily fall off. And if I'm not allowing God, if I'm not going back to verse 5 and 6, asking God to walk me, to lead me, to guide me, for me to follow his steps, I very easily can have a moment that turns into a diabetic. And I don't think it's diabetes. I don't know. I don't believe God told me that. All God told me was stop or you're going to die. So, if I am going to keep God in the picture going forward from what I talked about, if I'm going to continue to seek him on this, I don't understand, and I'm being honest, I don't understand why we've been given this palate, this taste bud to taste things that are all the things that are so bad for us. A lot of the things, see, this is me talking, a lot of the things that are so bad for us taste so good. And it is so frustrating to me that a lot of things that I really enjoy are not good for me. I hope you heard that, because that is not just about food. There's a whole bunch of things that can be go under the umbrella of that. There are a lot of things that we enjoy that aren't good for us. Wisdom is knowing that once God makes that known to you, discernment, making a choice to better, to cut that out, to walk away from, to not do. That is where wisdom and discernment go hand in hand. Where it doesn't is where we have all these things that are bad for us, that we know are bad for us, and we continue to do them. That is foolishness. A haughty spirit, pride, haughtiness, and foolishness are like this. So wisdom and discernment, foolishness and haughtiness, they go hand in hand. You have to be foolish in order to operate in a state of haughtiness, because you are elevating yourself over everybody and everything, including God. That's foolishness. So, in closing, when you seek God for discernment, what you do when you get the answer will determine where you are in life. Where those people who are tooting their own horn, they're believing in their own food, their own wisdom, they're more than they should be. They'll be at a crossroad. Is this wisdom? Is this foolishness? I'm not here to tell you what is or isn't, and that there's a lot of things that are going on in people's lives that I don't know about. There's a lot of things that people are asking for discernment that I have no clue about. I do know this. When you ask God, He'll give you answers. And like Proverbs 3:5 says, don't lean on your own understanding. Because the analogy I gave of me driving, I don't know what's going up. In fact, where I'm driving right now, I cannot see straight. There's curves coming. I don't know what's on the other side of these curves. I can't see that way. I can't see that far. That's beyond my comprehension. That's beyond my conception. I can't see that. God can see it though. So if I'm driving and God says you need to turn right now, you know what I should do? I should turn right now. Because He sees something up there that I don't see. And He's like, if you listen to me, you're going to avoid all that. But if you don't, you'll have to go through it. Go through it. That doesn't mean God got out the truck because I went and kept going. He's like, man, I'm getting out of here. That doesn't mean He got out the truck. That just means He's sitting here and He's like, okay, well, now you got to deal with this. I can help you get through this, or you can do it on your own. Wisdom, haughtiness. I love y'all. I love you. I love you. I pray those under the sound of my voice hear the words that I am saying, that God put on my heart, and that it is applied into people's lives so we can see the manifestation of this 30, 60, 100-fold. I pray that the spirit of offense doesn't get in people's hearts, because I am not condemning people, nor, more importantly, neither is God. This is not a condemnation message. This is what this is. This is an enlightenment message. And I pray that that is received by those under the sound of my voice. I thank you for this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. I love y'all. I love you. I love you. Have a great week. Come back and let's kick it with each other next Thursday. I love you. Peace.